Tons of fireworks on week 8 Sunday in the NFL. We've got a Hail Mary, we've got upsets, and we've got teams that I think it's time to throw on the trash heap. All that and more coming up on today's Peacock and Williamson.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love our everydayers and appreciate all the new listeners. Make sure you are subscribed to Peacock and Williamson on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this podcast. Today's episode of P&W brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. All right, I guess we got to start with the Washington Commanders, and it was kind of an ugly game that turned into a really fun game late, and a little back and forth late in this one, as it was the Commanders that toppled the Bears with the Hail Mary. Jayden Daniels finding Noah Brown after it bounced off, I think, Tyreek Stevenson's hands in the Bears secondary. And an 18-15 win for the 6-2 Commanders over the now 4-3 Chicago Bears.
So Stevenson's a really good young player, but I don't know if you saw the video, but he was taunting the home team in the end zone with his back to the play until like a second after the ball was snapped. Like didn't even realize the ball was snapped, and then flips his hips and runs over and almost makes a play, and coincidentally it hits off him, and then historic, maybe the play of the year.
Yeah.
Are these the two most exciting teams in the league? And by that, I mean like the future and being ahead of schedule and their quarterbacks and ability to add new players next year, things like that. Like this could be, they could be playoff teams for the next decade and have a lot of good matchups. I mean, might look back on this one and be like, remember the Hail Mary game that started this rivalry between these two quarterbacks?
Oh, no doubt. The first and second pick in the draft, I mean, it writes itself. Stevenson wasn't even the receivers were 30 yards down the field before he turned around and realized the play was happening. He runs in, and actually, I think it's an important aspect, because the Hail Mary, it's like, okay, everyone kind of does the same thing all the time. Getting a running start is helpful for getting in the air and getting elevated.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I think
Absolutely.
they should think about that. It's like the ball's in the air a long time. DBs have plenty of time. Wide receivers on offense have plenty of time to run and jump. So it's like, it's one thing to be in position, but these guys are all tight and you can't jump. The guy who's running in has a better opportunity to get up and get high. It looks like it was broken down in a way that Stevenson might have been the guy, because you need to have somebody in front, somebody in back. Washington did. Chicago did not. I think Stevenson, that was supposed to be his role, was be the guy in the back and make sure that I can't remember the stealer, I can't remember what the name of the position is, but you're the guy who bats it down at the end if it goes backwards. And he wasn't there, and there was nobody there. But he actually went up and got a hand on it still. But he actually had the personal foul earlier in the game too. So this was not the only hiccup on the day for Stevenson. And I can't imagine the Monday morning meeting was good for him. And
I'm sure right.
that was very, 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 very bad look for you to be the guy that tips the ball up and you're not paying attention to start the play and your head's elsewhere. Not a good sign. So we'll see what happens with Tyreek Stevenson there. But that was it's a game that you have to have if you're the Bears, especially in that division. You're over 500 team, but you're in last place in the NFC North at 4-3. And every game is going to matter. NFC games for tiebreakers and the wild card is really going to matter for the Bears. And to lose in that fashion has to be heartbreaking. And I don't even know if you give all the credit. Jayden Daniels running around. They're only rushing 3.
Yeah.
Daniels gets all the credit for the play, but I would kind of discredit the Bears more than I would credit Daniels and the Commanders for that play and that win necessarily. But it was a fun game and a fun matchup with those two quarterbacks.
Now, that play aside, which is awesome, that's why we're starting with it. the Commanders dominated this game for 85% of it. I mean, they got in the red zone and they kicked field goals and kept it, so the Bears hung around. But Daniels was the much better quarterback for 85-90% of this game. I mean, the Bears really struggled on third down, but I thought both defenses were better than expected, or at least strong, and they both ran the ball pretty well, real well.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift having a renaissance mid-season, really strange there. He had 129s, a long touchdown run. And yeah, I'm sure many matchups to come for Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams, and Jayden Daniels and the Commanders get the best of this one with the Hail Mary highlight of the season so far. Outdoes Aaron Rodgers' Hail Mary earlier in the year. 18-15 win for the Commanders here.
And I think the Commanders have a better season than Rodgers' team, who we'll get to here in a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. How about those Cleveland Browns? The Jameis Winston-led Cleveland Browns. Jameis Winston, 334 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Defeat, not only cover the whatever the number was, 9.5 points, but straight up win over the Ravens at home, 29-24. Browns inch up to 2-6 on the season. Ravens at now 5-3. And when we were making picks for this, and my argument for the Browns on this one was, okay, Jameis Winston, this is an upgraded quarterback. You get the weirdness off the field for a while with Deshaun Watson. The defense can't be this bad. They're too good of a defense to be playing as bad as they are, and maybe better quarterback play, better vibes, kind of rises all ships with the rising tide. And you have Nick Chubb back. You get him back last week. And so I just feel like this is a team that's 9.5 points at home, division rival. Those games are always close. But I didn't expect necessarily the Browns to just go out and beat the Ravens straight up, 29-24.
I thought all those things you said, but I picked the Ravens because I thought by the fourth quarter, all the novelty would wear off and Derrick Henry would be running down your throat. And then you're like, we still only have one win. This isn't that much fun. But that's not at all how it went down. And I don't think we should be shocked that Winston gave his team a shot in the arm. And frankly, since that year he was 30-30, he's cut his turnovers down dramatically. He has grown up on the field more than people will ever give him credit for. And more Chubb. Tillman is an emerging player who I really liked out of college. And when Cooper's out of his way, that's huge. But I also think you got to look at the Ravens and be like, man, your pass defense all year has been questionable, as well as poorly communicated. I think that they have to blow more coverages than anyone in the league. And if I'm looking at the trade deadline for them, I wouldn't mind going to get a pass rusher. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney or Reddick or somebody like that, because they don't really have a finisher.
I totally agree. I wonder how many benches Cedric Tillman was on. I'm sure he was picked up in a lot of leagues after as far as fantasy football goes. I'm sure he's picked up in a lot of leagues after the Amari Cooper trade. And there's probably a lot of fantasy managers out there thinking, man, I probably should have started him against the Ravens. 2 touchdowns, 7 for 99 yards. Cedric Tillman, definitely the huge beneficiary there of the changing quarterback, and obviously shipping off the guy who was taking a lot of his targets in Amari Cooper.
He's been sitting on my 60% of my dynasty teams because I loved him coming out of school, and he's been unusable since he got in the league, But
usable now. We'll see.
Usable now.
For the Cleveland Browns. Seem like just a completely different football team out there in week 8. All right, Matt, we've got
by the way, the last time Deshaun Watson threw for over 300 yards was 2021, and Winston did it 334 in this game.
Wow. The Philadelphia Eagles whipped up on the Cincinnati Bengals. It was close early, 10-10 at the half. And then, the Eagles just ran away from the Cincinnati Bengals, 37-17. Another 100-yard game from Saquon Barkley, a dime from Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith in this one, touchdown pass. Hurts doing a lot with his legs as well. And the Bengals just ran out of gas. They're just an incomplete team right now, it seems like, the Cincinnati Bengals at this point in the year.
Very much so. I don't want to spend too much time on them other than their defense is flat out bad and has been for 2 years. And the other thing that really shows during this era, they need Higgins, Chase, and Burrow. Even if Higgins is out, they almost always lose. And I'd be real shocked I'd be real concerned if I were them to let this guy walk, because the numbers really show that when 3 of them are out there, they win most of the time. When one of them's missing, they don't. And the Eagles, They're now on a winning streak. I thought this was Hurts' best game of the year. They're getting healthy. You know, I mean, you guys like Lane Johnson back and don't have to be so Barkley reliant. Devontae Smith picks up, you know, he's been really slow this year, but he had a huge game. You know, no one questioned that he was good or not. And the defense is coming around. So Philly's peaking at a nice time here.
And for the Bengals, maybe in that category with the Dallas Cowboys, we'll talk about from the Sunday nighter. The Jets just seem like a disaster now, and much more coming up from the Week 8 Sunday that was in the NFL next. Today's episode brought to you by LinkedIn and LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. I'm on LinkedIn. Matt's on LinkedIn. Everyone's on LinkedIn already. So those who aren't actively searching for a new job might still be open to the perfect role. And in a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn knows small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. So LinkedIn's constantly finding ways to make the process easier. Even launched a new feature to help you write job descriptions, making the process quicker and easier. And 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn currently for hiring. 86% of them get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn and post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. The next segment of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Which ones we're going off that will continue to or might fall off a cliff? Or which guys like Cedric Tillman do you see, hey, this is the opportunity for this guy now? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. You think Justin Jefferson will get more than 83.5 receiving yards next week? How about Lamar Jackson pass more than 1.5 touchdowns? Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this football season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. And when you sign up today, you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. Download the app today and use code LockedOnNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup with Prize Picks. Run your game. I want to go next to the Detroit Lions, who are just, no Aiden Hutchinson, no problem. Now, they're playing the lowly Tennessee Titans in this game, but the Titans brought the fight early. But man, it was just wave after wave of Jameer Gibbs, 127 yards on only 11 carries for Jameer Gibbs. And obviously the 1-2 punch there with Montgomery, which is the best running game in the NFL. They're beating up on people right now. 52.
Yeah.
After what did
52.
What did they beat the Cowboys? 40, was it 49? But they kind of took the foot off the gas, 43-9. What was it a couple weeks ago? And now they beat
Lions didn't score in the fourth quarter on this one either. You know, and this was bonkers.
That's true. Yeah, they could have put up 70 with the way this thing was going. 52-14 Lions over the Titans.
Titans, if there's anybody you want off their team, I'm sure you could make some kind of deal. They're in bad shape. They got big picture problems. I still didn't think it would be this bad. I thought the Titans D could keep this thing close, but I think it's pretty clear right now that the Lions are the best team in the league and are humming in all phases. Special teams, I mean, they had like 1 million return yards in this game. Defense is in really good shape. I still would be in the market for an edge guy, you know, with Hutchinson out, but they have to be one in every power rank right now.
Yeah, I had them 2 last week. I had Ravens, Lions, Chiefs, 1, 2, 3 last week. You have to put the Lions.
So did I. So did I. Yeah.
Well, maybe a team like the New York Jets might be willing to make a deal. They lost to the New England Patriots. The Jets are now 2-6 after going all in. They made some moves before the deadline to get Devontae Adams. They changed head coach. They still have time before the trade deadline to maybe unload some pieces and say, oh, never mind, and still trade Devontae Adams back somewhere else. The New England Patriots, led by Drake May, who left the game. Jacoby Brissett finished the job. 25-22. The 2-6 Patriots now with the same record as the New York Jets after 8 weeks, man.
Yeah, and I didn't watch a ton of this, but it was a lot of Ramondre Stevenson. I was disappointed that, the rookie May got knocked out because, big picture, that's what you want. But this seems like a game that the Jets should win. Like you pull up the box score, it's like, oh, they must have turned the ball over a million times. There wasn't a turnover in the whole game. They had 2 yards more per play than the Patriots. But there's just something missing here. I think that Rodgers, I'm not saying he's disinterested, but maybe he's on the verge of getting disinterested. It's just dysfunction junction, I think.
Yep. And by the way, since the Patriots have the tiebreaker now, the Jets are in last place. So
yeah,
and they're not going to catch the 6-2 Buffalo Bills. Now the thing is, they're only half game behind the second place Miami Dolphins. Like this division outside of Buffalo is a disaster right now. There's only 6 combined wins with the other 3 teams to put all those wins together just to match the Bills' 6 wins right now at 6-2 atop the AFC East. So a lot of people going nowhere right now in that division. You see the Dolphins, and they have a better opportunity to maybe do some things, but they weren't able to take advantage of adding Tua Tagovailoa to the mix because the Miami Dolphins lost 28-27 to the Arizona Cardinals. And it looked better with Tua. It looked a little bit different, but the Cardinals are just this pesky little team now who are, by the way, tied at 4-4 with the Seahawks and the 49ers, all at 4-4 atop the NFC West. Kyler Murray going for 300 yards passing, by the way, and a couple of touchdowns, and had a really nice rapport going with both Trey McBride and rookie wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. in this one.
Yeah, and they get to 500. They're still alive, and I thought this was Kyler's best game of the year. McBride is a constant force. It's great to get Harrison more involved. Now, it might be too late for the Dolphins. They're 2-5, but the offense was night and day different than what it has been. It's a dangerous offense. They're getting the ball in their playmakers' hands, namely a Chan, but I'm sure Waddle and Hill's turn is coming next week, or I'm not concerned about them. But their defense wasn't very good. This is a game Miami needed to win, and it was down to the wire stuff,
Yeah, it's much like the Jets. You have to start winning some games somewhere if you want to convince yourself that you're still in this thing. And I think for both teams, they're really not. And right now, just the way they look this week, even though both teams lost, I think the Dolphins still look like they could salvage something more so than the Jets. The Jets are just
their body language bad, and the Jets I'm talking about. I think Miami at least has hope.
If you're the Jets owner, you kind of tried to go for it a couple weeks ago. Do you say, "Yep, that didn't work. All right, let's."
I would listen to offers. You could trade Tyron Smith or Moses. No one ever trades tackles, but you got a first rounder on the bench. Yeah. Adams, maybe again. No one trades tackles, but you can actually do stuff like that.
That's
I don't think you're like Garrett Wilson or Sauce Gardner, but
would the Minnesota Vikings be interested in a veteran tackle just to try to get him through this season? That could make some sense. Obviously, Reddick and Devontae Adams and Mike Williams, and there's a lot of players that could be on the move potentially from the New York Jets.
Could you pry Quinn Williams away? With the right price, something like that. They're in bad shape, man.
Just be the complete rebuild because you're not building long term around the quarterback. Does a team need it? Could they eat salary and trade Aaron Rodgers somewhere potentially too? Because obviously Rodgers would be even less interested if you start trading away all his pieces.
I know it sounds crazy, but I would call about Sauce and Garrett Wilson and Quinn Williams and guys that are foundational players because I don't know that there is a foundation a year from now.
Yeah, if they felt like they needed to go get a number one guy, it's like, well, do you not like Garrett Wilson? I'll trade for him all day long. What are you guys even doing? So I had no idea.
They just might be looking at how do we get our next quarterback?
Right, we need picks, and this season's lost, and that's how you get your next quarterback. So yeah. So season does seem lost for the New York Jets. The Atlanta Falcons are tops in the NFC South, defeating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for for the second time, I believe, in October. 31-26, the final here. Bucks fall to 4-4. Falcons now 5-3 and in control in the South.
Really good offensive performance by Atlanta. I mean, Cousins he's put up like 800 yards against these guys and a ridiculous touchdown to interception ratio. And they're getting their playmakers the ball. I mean, Bijan, this was a big Pitts game. Mooney, it was not a big London game, but he's still out there and doing a lot. I don't think Atlanta's defense is playoff or championship caliber, but I do think they probably win the division now. These Tampa Bay injuries at receiver are substantial, but they still moved the ball and they still scored. You know, I mean, Baker's had a good year. It's a little bit of a volatile year, but he's had a really good year. And guys like K. Dotton stepped up, you know, and I like Bucky Irving too.
I mean, yeah, despite not having your two best receivers, the offense is not the problem with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their defense is atrocious, man.
It's really bad. You're right.
Yeah.
That surprises me a little.
It does. You got a defensive-minded head coach. You've got some talent over there. By the way, Baker Mayfield, 330 passing yards. He had to throw it 50 times, which tells you how the game was going there. And he did throw a couple of interceptions as well. He's trying to will his team back and go win that football game. But, you know, he's throwing to K. Dotton and Rakim Jarrett and Bucky Irving out of the backfield, and Rashawn White out of the backfield, and Jalen McMillan, Trey Palmer, Ryan Miller, Sterling Shepard, Sean Tucker. Like, how many of those receiving options were the ones that people are putting in their fantasy lineups, right? None of them. So, you know, aside from the running backs, like it's a bleak picture right now for Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they need the defense to step up in the absence of some of their offensive playmakers, and it's not happening.
No, and you know, it's a back and forth game, and like you said, Baker has to throw it too much. Well, it's a good recipe for losing the turnover battle 3-0 and losing the game. You know, it's kind of inevitably the way it's going to go.
All right, more from week 8. Niners over the Cowboys in prime time. We had the Texans just getting by the Colts, the Packers just getting by the Jaguars, and the Bills getting by the Seahawks by a lot, and so much more from week 8 next. The final segment of this episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by Game Time, and the Game Time app is the place to go to find all of your sports, concert, comedy, theater tickets near you. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets even easier to see your favorite, especially football teams, play live. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals to get great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets, especially when you're trying to go see a college football game, a pro football game, and there's a 60,000 seat stadium. That can be a little bit more difficult than maybe getting tickets to see an event, a concert, or a comedy show at a small club. That's where Game Time Picks really shines to filter out all the fluff. Awesome deals on last-minute tickets at Game Time. I've utilized it to go see baseball games, to go see concerts last minute, and it really made the difference in me even deciding to go to the event or not. I was like, man, I can get a great deal on Game Time. I'm going. I'll be there. All-in pricing, toggle on that feature, so you see the totals up front. No surprise fees at checkout. Love that feature. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Let's go to the Green Bay Packers, who defeated the Jaguars 30-27, and Trevor Lawrence still doing weird head-scratching bad things. The Jaguars are just not a good football team, and the Packers, even with an injury to their quarterback, Malik Willis comes in, and they were able to seal the deal late and win this one and improve to 6-2 now. Man, the NFC North is a lot of fun this year. 30-27, the final year.
Sort of a business trip. You know, you lose your quarterback, you're on the road, you're far from home in the heat and away from Green Bay, and you take care of business and you get out of there with a win any way you can, even without Love. And that's great. And a lot of Josh Jacobs on the ground. You got to love that. I think Lawrence is turning the corner, but you're right. He definitely still has some scratch your head moments for sure. And then by the end of the game, they didn't have any wide receivers. The whole wide receiver core was banged up, and their defense is pretty bad too. Their pass defense is horrible.
Yeah. I don't know if we should give Lawrence such a pass that we do, But I do get the feeling it's like I would kind of like to see him out of there and just like
I know.
somewhere else and maybe see what that really looks like, because it's hard to
It's a
believe
tough
in what's
evaluation.
going on organizationally with the Jaguars. It seems to always be this picture.
Yep, it is. And boy, it's all on his shoulders, and he's not good enough for that, but he's not as bad as sometimes he looks. He's a tough evaluation.
Um, Anthony Richardson, not a great evaluation right now in his
He's
second
an easy
season.
evaluation.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, and it's a not a good one. 23-20, the Colts did hang in there. 23-20, they had an early lead. Texans came back and defeated the Colts 23-20.
I mean, Richardson, this Houston game is kind of a business trip too. Like this is far from their best that they could be, but that's how they've been playing pretty much all year. And they're 6-2, so I don't think anyone's crying about their problems. Diggs is now hurt. That's not great. But man, I think the conversation has to be around the Colts. Like, yeah, they're running the ball great with Taylor back, but he's 10 of 32. And the touchdown he threw to Downs was wide open. I mean, yeah, his receivers dropped a couple on him, but he really struggles to complete passes. And I know you have to leave him in there, but I mean, what do you do about it? I mean, he's 1 for 3.
It's like he's getting worse. I thought he looks better in his first start of his career last year than he looks.
I
right
100%
now.
agree.
10 of 32, and like almost all of his production came from that one wide open play to Josh Downs. Nice touchdown pass for 69 yards, but that was it. Aside, Jonathan Taylor on the ground.
Your second leading receiver is Michael Pittman with 1 for 16. I mean, Downs got 4 balls. A bunch of guys caught 1, and Pittman was the second leading receiver. And it's all that one big play, the 69-yarder. They don't have a passing game.
A big one though for the Texans, who seem to be just like kind of barely getting by teams right now, even though they're 6-2.
But
they should have beaten
6-2, and exactly. I mean, it's not a great performance by them. South's been all year.
A couple teams won by a lot. The Bills beat the Seahawks by a lot, 31-10. The Chargers beat the Saints by a lot, 26-8. I don't know if there's a lot to take away from the Chargers in the Saints game. The Chargers kind of did their thing. I love seeing Ladd McConkey, though.
That was one
to rise. 2 touchdown receptions for McConkey from Justin Herbert there, 6 for 111 yards for McConkey. And he looks like he belongs in the NFL, and he looks exactly like you thought he would look like in the NFL. Like he's playing exactly to the scouting report, which is a good side for a rookie wide receiver in the NFL.
That's a great take from that game. The Saints are a mess. I mean, he's looking like clearly separating as their number 1 receiver. You mentioned that Bills game. They're really humming. I didn't think that they would just dominate that game, but that thing was pretty much over from the start. And Seattle doesn't really block anybody, and the Bills are pretty formidable right now.
No doubt. Yeah, the Bills just came in and absolutely dominated that football game, start to finish, going all the way to Seattle. Long trip. Tough place to play. It wasn't for the Bills in this one, 31-10. And but nobody wants to take control in the NFC West. Everybody's 4-4. And then in last place are the Rams, who are 3-4 because they've had a bye. A really strange division in the West.
Yeah, wow.
Into more of that. Panthers beat up on by the Broncos. Bryce Young turns out still not good. Man,
still not good, and they really don't have much talent. Period. Bo Nix is getting better. I mean, we knew the Broncos D was good, and they're pretty good on both lines of scrimmage. And Nix has done some ugly stuff, but he's getting better.
That's the team you want to play. The Panthers they're 32.
Oh, yeah.
The Lions are 1. The Panthers are back. They're 32 clearly in the NFL.
I thought you meant the Broncos are like that team that gets into playoffs that you're really happy you get to play.
Yeah,
they could be that team too. Yeah,
play too, for sure. Kansas City Chiefs find a way to win every time. Do it again against the Raiders. They're better. They came in, went to the Raiders' house, beat them 27-20. 7-0 Chiefs now, 2-6 Raiders.
It's not beautiful with the Chiefs, but it really doesn't have to be. It's efficient. I don't have a ton of takeaway. Huge Kelsey day on National Tight End Day. I'm sure people beat that to death, but I mean, he was probably his best performance with 10 catches. They ran the ball enough, but not great. I'm not worried about the Chiefs, but they're not like clearly the best team in the league, that's for sure. But they're undefeated. That's not so bad.
I talk about a lot. Tight ends is the best money you can spend in the NFL right now for what tight ends get paid and what they can do for your football team, run and pass. We saw it all over the league on National Tight Ends Day. I don't know if they got a little extra love from their offensive coordinators and quarterbacks, but they set a record for receptions for tight ends. And it finished off Sunday with George Kittle going for
he was right.
And it was 120. Hold on, I don't have the box score pulled up for George Kittle, but he was kind of the founder of the. Was it 128?
Yep, 6 for 128. Yep,
6 for 128 for George Kittle, touchdown. Some run after catch, some vintage George Kittle moments there as the 49ers kind of regrouped in the second half. The game was a little closer than it probably should have been because the Niners looked like the better team in the first half, but they were kind of doing the thing where they let teams hang around. I was like, are they going to do this again? They didn't, though. They actually finished the job here in this one, 30-24, 49ers over the Cowboys. Mentioned George Kittle. By the way, George Kittle became the third leading receiver in San Francisco 49ers history.
I saw that. Crazy. I mean, he's really had a remarkable career. Dallas is kind of broken. Like you said, they came back. They it's all CeeDee Lamb and nothing else. And I'm a little bit of a Dak apologist, but one of my favorite Pro Football Focus numbers is turnover-worthy plays. His percentage just keeps going up and up, and I kind of don't blame him because what else are you going to do? There
we go. Yeah, it's they're very similar to where the Bengals are right now too, because you need everybody so you can be competitive. And if you don't have everybody, and then the team is because CeeDee Lamb, it's not like CeeDee Lamb went crazy. His stat line looks great. He showed up for fantasy owners, but he was uncovered in the end zone on one play. Two DBs knocked each other out on another play, and he was wide open again for his 2 touchdown catches.
This game looks a lot closer than it was, as you mentioned.
Right. Dak threw interceptions trying to throw to him earlier in the game. And so the 13 for 146, he thought he had a great game. It wasn't super impactful. He was targeted 17 times because he's the only part of their offense. They can't run the ball at all. Dalvin Cook didn't change anything in that regard either. And the Cowboys are in trouble. I don't think even getting Micah Parsons back is going to really fix them, but it makes it a lot worse because now they're not competitive enough on defense so you can hang in with games. And so, 3-4, they're not out of it with records, but they're not a good football team right now.
No, you get outrushed by like 160 yards. I mean, against a team like the Niners, they're just going to keep doing it, even though Mason got hurt. You're in trouble. I mean, it's a helpless feeling, even though they did come back and make it interesting.
Absolutely. And a game the 49ers had to have, not only a rivalry game against the Cowboys, but get back to 4-4, stay in pace there in the NFC West and control your own destiny a little bit. Going into a bye week can get a little bit healthier, get some guys back. They lost Jordan Mason, the running back in this game. He already had an AC joint in his shoulder. And so the rookie Isaac Guerrero had to come in and gives him a different look and had some nice plays, much faster than Jordan Mason. And
he broke free a few times, and
yeah, absolutely. And so it was a nice game for him. Got his first NFL touchdown. And so, the Niners have done a good job with finding replacements and have had a fantastic rookie class. And, Ricky Pearsall getting his first NFL start in this game with Brandon Ayuk out. So now the
Debo injury, though. Yeah. Hopefully the Debo stuff's not bad,
Yeah, he already had the pneumonia, too. It was like the pneumonia game for him early. He was looking good early and then had to leave that game. So they get to lick their wounds on a bye week. Comes at a really good time for the 49ers, and it can try to make a run in the second half of the season. But they've been a little bit of a weird team up and down this year. They need to gather their thoughts, get things together, get healthy for the second half run. And there might be a trade, I think, brewing for the 49ers. And it could be on the defensive side of the ball, it could be on the offensive side of the ball, but I think they're going to be active. So trade deadline is going to heat up here in week 9 as we reach Halloween, Matt.
Yeah. And my last nugget is, I would think Debo will be fine. Hopefully at the time the buys after Pearsall's settling in a little bit. Might McCaffrey be back is my question to you. I know nobody seems to know that answer, but
post buy is the plan. I would guess when they gather to practice again after the buy, they open McCaffrey's 21-day practice window. I think that's my guess.
Start, yeah.
So he'll get activated at some point early November.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for. And they're still heads above water, they'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of teams a lot of mid teams, but there's some teams that I'm just ready to say goodbye to. And I think, Cowboys, Bengals, Jets,
Jets,
Dolphins. Those are all in that mix, and some other teams just looking really good right now. Even if they haven't been perfect all year, you feel great if you're the Bills. You feel great if you're the Texans. You still feel great if you're the Ravens, even though you lost. You feel great if you're the Eagles right now. The Commanders for sure. So it'll be a fun one as we go down the stretch here. We still got Monday night to go as well. Thanks for joining us here. That is Week 8 Sunday in the NFL. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Matt and I back tomorrow. Peacock and Williamson.